even. Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in four straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Hatteberg's a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McLean's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Reds win. Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, welcome into a Sunday night edition of Chatterbox Reds. It's Dick, it's myself, and it's the 38th straight time that the Reds have lost the series opener and have failed to go on and win the series. Boy, did we think that there was a good chance of that thing snapping today. Reds obviously had a 8-3 lead at one time, would ultimately fall 11-8. They would drop 2 games below 500 and fall another game behind the Chicago Cubs. A team that probably at this point is going to be the only real semblance of chance for this team to make the postseason is to try to catch those guys. Maybe I'm wrong. We can talk about that perhaps later in the show, but really no reason to even consider the postseason unless they clean some things up. Then I'm sure we'll talk about that during this show. Nick, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'd ask how you're doing, but I'm pretty sure I know that you're not doing great.
Yeah, this was a tough weekend, man. The difference of having a fun, exciting night and miserable night is a bullpen.
Yeah, they found ways this year to lose every which way imaginable at this point. You kind of felt like maybe this team would get hot and this offense would kind of rebound, and they have. I mean, they kind of have. Unfortunately, though, we continue to find ways to lose. And as much as winning is contagious at times, it seems like this team finds the contagious aspect of losing when things start to unravel. It's a unique situation. Perhaps it's not very unique, unfortunately, in Cincinnati, but we'll discuss it and more. Let's jump into the Boschko recap before we get into the nuts and bolts of the show. But we had a game earlier today. Obviously didn't go the Reds' way, but there were some bright spots, Nick. There were some bright spots.
Yeah, Reds taking on the Chicago Cubs. Rubber game of a 3-game series. Nick Lodolo against Ben Brown. Cubs jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first inning as Pete Crow Armstrong hit a ball at Matt McLain that he was unable to come up with. The ball was weakly hit. It appeared to, or at least the broadcast said, it knuckled away from Matt McLain, which allowed 2 runs to score with 2 outs. Ben Brown really struggled with his command early, walked the first 2 batters, TJ Friedl and Santiago Espinal. Austin Hayes, Jose Trevino, and Will Benson each had RBI singles to put the Reds up 3-2, and then the Reds added a 4th run on a wild pitch to make it 4-2. The Cubs, they cut the Reds' lead to 4-3 when Reese McGuire homered. Reese McGuire, a late add to the lineup, just called up from AAA to replace the injured Miguel Amaya. Lodolo did get through 5 innings with just those 3 runs allowed, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. In the bottom of the 5th, Matt McLain and TJ Friedl each singled to start the inning. Ellie De La Cruz singled home a run to make it 5-3. And then Austin Hayes tripled to make it 7-3. Then with 2 outs in the inning, Jose Trevino doubled to make it 8-3 Cincinnati. But then the Reds' bullpen happened. Scott Barlow gave up a run in the 6th on a wild pitch to make it 8-4. Graham Ashcraft gave up 3 runs in the 7th to make it 8-7. Taylor Rogers gave up a solo home run to the Cubs' 3rd-string catcher, Reese McGuire, his 2nd of the day to tie it at 8 in the 8th. Rogers didn't get an out. They left 2 runners on base for Luis May, and Luis May gave up a 116-mile-per-hour 3-run bomb to Seiya Suzuki to complete the collapse and make it 11-8 Cubs. Reds did bring the tying run up to the plate in the bottom of the 8th, but Santiago Espinal struck out to end the inning, and then an Ellie De La Cruz leadoff single was the Reds' only noise in the 9th. Reds lose 11-8. Reds have now lost 4 of 5. Reds now 26-28 on the season, 6.5 behind the Cubs. And as mentioned, the Reds extend their unfathomable streak to 38 consecutive series that they have lost after losing Game 1 of the series.
All right, we got a deep drive of the day. Will Benson line out. That's where we're headed for the deep drive of the day. Pete Crow Armstrong. That guy's good at baseball. At least he is at the moment. But 109 off the bat, 395 feet. That would be, at the time, a win probability for your Redlegs of 65%. As we all know, it would end up being 0%. DSC, though, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to John and his team at DSC for supporting our show. Nick, I guess we start exactly where everybody would like to with this game. The bullpen comes in. They have a very cushioned lead. And you kind of just get off to the wrong foot right off the rip, if we're being honest. You walk a guy, you walk another guy, you seem uncompetitive, and then I guess ultimately you work your way out, you get out of it. I get it. I guess I'm saying I get it. That wasn't the true major issue, but it's just like a vibes thing. It's kind of like a vibes thing to me. It's for whatever reason, the 2 games that they got up, I'm not suggesting that they let their guard down, whatever term you'd like to use. They got lackadaisical. I like to give, I guess there's times where I would say I'd like to give the other team some credit too, Nick. I got to tell you, I think the Cubs are a pretty good team. And if you watched them this weekend and you didn't think they were very good, then I guess I don't know what to tell you. They have competitive at-bats all game long. I mean, they put pressure on you 1 through 9, what it seems like. At least they did this series. And it just makes it to where you never feel totally comfortable. And then you walk guys, and then it felt like to me that kind of just set a bad tone to the rest of the game. I don't know what we make of Rodgers. It's becoming increasingly tougher to not just say he's a complete bust. But it stinks because this isn't the part of the program here that we were supposed to lose games because of. This team has found ways to lose every way imaginable. In fact, I would say, Nick, there's some positive things that we're going to take away, and we'll talk about them here in a minute. But it feels like the things that needed to happen for this team to make the postseason or make a good run and sneak into the postseason with, call it 86, 87, 88 wins, whatever it's going to end up being. It kind of feels like the opposite of everything that's happened to them and the way in which they lost. You kind of felt like they would have to win that way. They'd have to win an 11-8 game when your starting pitcher doesn't really do all that well and he goes 4 innings. You'd have to find a way to win a couple 1-0 games when your offense is struggling, but your starting pitching does well, and then you hand it to the bullpen and their nails. And they have just done the complete opposite. Now, sitting here on May 25th, Nick, it's really hard to paint a narrative that everything's fine. That 2 games below 500, you can rattle off kind of maybe a hot month, find yourself in the mix towards the end, and you never know what can happen. It just feels like we're not the better, not even that we're the better team, Nick. It feels like we're so far outclassed this weekend that winning this division seems damn near impossible. Now, when you do a daily show and you watch this team on a day-to-day basis, sometimes, Nick, you can kind of get fooled into thinking that because you're so emotional. But man, it's really hard to see a team look that good, Nick, and think that you're going to be able to track them down. Your thoughts on all of that and more?
Yeah, Friday night was the night I was just like, man, like the Cubs offense, they're so good. Like, how do you compete with this team? But then you watch the Cubs starting pitching all weekend, and you're like, all right, well, I mean, their starting pitching's not very good. They got beat around all weekend by an offense that we've complained about all year. Right. So I don't know, man. This weekend just sucked. Like, there's nothing really from this weekend that I go, this weekend in particular, I'm that mad about that happened. Like, the bullpen didn't pitch well. I mean, they were kind of due. I mean, they pitched way better than any of us rationally thought coming into the year. I will say the funny thing is that Taylor Rogers has the best ERA of any of the guys that gave up runs today, and I think he's by far looked the worst. I feel like he's kind of gotten fortunate in some regards to not have had a worse ERA. Ashcraft, I thought he had some pretty tough luck. I mean, he thought he gave up some pretty weak hits, and then it kind of snowballed on him. I will say, though, he hasn't looked nearly, obviously, as dominant as he did early in the year. But today, I give him like a half a pass, I guess, would be the way to say it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to see the Reds out winning more games than the Cubs unless unless something crazy happens. I mean, will Pete Crow Armstrong come back down to earth? I don't know. It's hard to predict with these kind of players, right? I mean, there's been times when Elly De La Cruz has been going through it, and you think he'll never slow down, right? And he does. So I don't know if you want to get into this now, but it to me, it feels like it's probably the Reds' faint chance of the playoffs, and it's faint. I feel like it's more likely the wild card than the division.
Well, I think that's the I'm trying to keep it light on this show because ultimately, emotionally, I'm a bit spent with this team, and I say I'm spent largely just because I feel like that there's more there. If I thought this team was going to win like 62 games or something like that, then I'd just get on here and be like, hey, Benson's seeing the ball well. It's nice to see him get off, to an extended period of seeing the ball well. It's nice to see Spencer Steer come around. We could do the whole song and dance, but there's just times where you think that this team could turn a corner and start to make some real progress because they have some real pieces that you like. But it just seems like they don't have and I know I can't, like, what's the term to use here? I know I can't, like, quantify this with some statistic. But it just feels like this team doesn't have that winning DNA. They don't seem to be able to find a way to just come through in the clutch, if that's a term that you could use, as a holistic view of the team. I'm not saying it's one individual player, but it's just like no one can pick each other up when it matters the most, is kind of how I feel, right? It's like Taylor Rogers, at some point, when there's guys on base and you inherit runners, again, might not be the case this time, but that's why we think he's been bad. He's not been very good with inherited runners. Ashcraft comes in, he struggles. Barlow comes in and he walks the first two guys. And I get people are making like maybe I'm making too big of a deal about walking the first two guys. It's just like I don't know. It just seems like it's bad baseball, and that's what this team finds a way to do is they make losing plays in critical moments, and I'm hoping that it's coincidental. I'm hoping that, oh man, it's only a third of the season. Let's just see how this all falls out throughout the course of the year. But as much as I love Matt McLain, it's something as simple as him trying to tag a runner when that wasn't even the play on Friday night. I'm not trying to jump all around, but like that, those are the small things. And I'm not saying it's all Matt McLain's fault. The line drive today, I know people are mad at him about that. Listen, that came off a left-handed bat, a left-handed pitcher. It could have been tailing. Sometimes plays are harder than they look. I'm not going to sit here and get mad at him because he didn't catch a leaping line drive that if he would have caught it, everyone would have got excited. But I am going to say, like, we got to take it out when you're up by, I think it was 4 or 5 runs at the time. You just take the out, and it was the right play to flip the ball to Ellie anyways. I don't know what he was doing. So it's not like if he tagged him out, he was going to be able to throw the guy out at first base anyways, because by that point, the double play was over. So we've blown opening day saves. My point is this: it just feels like, as a fan, that this team snatches. Basically, they snatch a loss from the jaws of victory, versus the opposite way of what some people think great teams do, and maybe that's bad luck, but I do know this, and I'm not trying to say it's Tito's fault by any stretch of the imagination, but boy, does it not seem like this was the thing that everybody told me would be fixed coming into this season, because a manager was going to be able to kind of instill some semblance of a winning DNA into this baseball team, and I think they're still waiting for it to kick in, Nick.
It just all, to me, stems from the Reds' lack of power. I mean, the Cubs come into Great American Ballpark and they hit home runs. The Reds don't. That's why they won this series. It's that simple, period. I mean, Reese McGuire's a little bit of a just whatever. That was kind of a fluky thing. What did the Reds hit? 1 home run this weekend?
Yeah.
1 home run at Great American Ballpark against pitchers that aren't great.
Right.
I mean, they weren't pitching great.
They had some close. I mean, they had some balls that hit the top of the walls, things like that. I mean, Stevenson was close, Benson was close, but I get what you're saying.
That's why this team doesn't come back in games, because they can't hit home run. Pitchers are too good, relievers are too good to string together hits. So you either have to have a elite offense where you have 8 guys in your lineup that are all just absolute grinders that are great hitters, or you have to have guys that can hit the ball over the fence. The Reds just don't have enough of that. And that's why this team has their largest comeback is 2 runs this year. The Cubs come back twice in one weekend by 4 runs or more. It's because they just don't have enough power. And there's a million it's not one reason for that. Like, yes, they haven't drafted, developed, signed enough power hitters. They've had some bad luck with guys like CES and Candelario not panning out, getting hurt, all of that. But the third thing is they've also just flat out not played them too. So it's like the combination of that 3 is why we're here right now. And I don't know. I don't know if the Reds, address their power deficiencies a little better, if this team would be a playoff team, but they'd be a lot closer.
Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, let's be clear. The offense was not an issue this weekend. But I think what's frustrating is that you've seen what, in a way, you've seen what a really good offensive team looks like, and you're like, why don't we have that? Or why can't we get something close to that? And I would just openly say that. I mean, the answer is somewhat obvious. I mean, they have better players than we do. And if we can start there, I think we can at least check ourselves at the door, look ourselves in the mirror, and be honest. I mean, they have a lot of good offensive players on that team, and it doesn't take long to notice that. You know, sometimes you're outclassed. I'm willing to admit that we're outclassed right now from a team to team perspective on this whole thing. Now, I get the starting pitching concern, Nick, no doubt about it. I mean, if you took the Reds starting pitching and you handed it to the Cubs, I mean, I don't think there's a more clear-cut favorite team to win the World Series, and you can even add in the Dodgers to a certain extent. I get that would be a huge debate, but point is like that's how good the Cubs would be, and how you get there, you know. This is the most damning thing. I think I put something out the other day, Nick. I was like, I haven't really said a lot about the Reds lately on socials because it's just like it seems depressing. But it's like I don't know what the plan is with this organization. You know, on one hand, it felt like Nick Krall and his front office were kind of headed down a path that seemed like they had some semblance of a plan when it came to these young guys that were coming up, and they were finding these different classes that you thought that they could build on top of and build upon. And then they go out, and I mean, I get that they hired Francona, and it's like Francona said that he was excited about coming back because of the front office. Like, I don't know if people remember that, but like he basically suggested that he believed in what they were preaching to him. And I hate to say this, but like it seems to me that what they were preaching to him, or what I figured they would be preaching to him, is the opposite of what he puts forth in regards to a lineup and even the rhetoric that he suggests after the games. And again, I get the idea of wanting to have a guy in the 2-hole that can handle the bat, Nick. There's no doubt about it. There's a guy that can bunt and he can hit. Maybe you can hit and run with him every so often. But Nick, here's the thing, like that guy has to be an unbelievable player. They have to be a great hitter. And I feel like we have the Diet Right version of a good 2-hole hitter for the Boston Red Sox when he was ho-humming it up there in Boston. And we're trying to make this out to be like Espinal's this perfect candidate for what he wants to have in the 2-hole. And it makes no sense. And it also makes no sense to continue to push Connor Joe. And you send Rhys Hines down. And you add on another retread. I'm not trying to be mean to Garrett, but like none of this is adding up to me. And I'm not saying that I know better than them. I'm just saying that I felt like I could at least get an idea of what this track record was supposed to look like, of who they were going to be. And yet, I'm kind of confused now, if we're being honest, Nick. Will Benson doesn't even really get a chance, Nick. Like, Will Benson, you can say whatever you want. And I wholeheartedly believe this. If TJ Friedl didn't get hurt, I'm serious. I don't think Will Benson is even playing. I don't think he is. And he's been unbelievably good.
I got several thoughts here. Did you see that comment today by a media member that will remain nameless?
No, we have to say what it is, and then I might be able to know.
The quote was, "The more you watch Will Benson, the more you see why Francona believed in his potential in spring training." Like, are you kidding me?
What? Who said? I'm going to have to dig this up.
I'm going to leave him nameless.
Well, how can you say such a thing? Because everything Terry Francona has done to Will Benson has showed that he doesn't believe in him. I mean, he literally has never given him even the chance to prove himself until he just smashed the door down.
I'll say this. I don't know. I might be off on this completely. I think that what Terry Francona was sold on at his couch in Arizona was not a shared vision of the Reds. It was he was fed up in Cleveland because Cleveland was telling him how to run the team. And I think that Nick Krall and I think that Brad Meter said, you know what? We're tired of constantly getting, torn apart by certain people that we tell the manager what to do, and we're going to let you have free reign on the team. I think that's what he was sold. The more this goes on, there's just move after move that make no sense based on what the front office has done for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that this front office is aligned that Santiago Espinal should be batting second. I just refuse to believe that based on the years of baseball that we've watched from this team. And they hired David Bell. David Bell didn't do that kind of stuff. So I think that's what it is more than anything else. But, you bring up a good point on Santiago Espinal. It's like Terry Francona treats Santiago Espinal like he's Stephen Kwan, like an elite on base guy. Like, yeah, Stephen Kwan doesn't have power, but Stephen Kwan is elite at getting on base. Like Espinal's not. And I don't know why he's getting treated in that regard. And again, we like Santiago Espinal. Santiago Espinal is a perfect bench player that can be in a platoon role. But batting him second is just, it's insanity.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be confused right now why we're complaining about an offense on a weekend where they have done really well. I guess these things bleed into each other. It's like you start to think through what the difference is between the Cubs and the Reds, and you start to think through the philosophies, and you start to ask yourself what the Reds' philosophy is, and then that's how you find yourself back where Santiago Espinal's hitting second. And I feel like we're beating a dead horse here with this whole thing, and we're tired. You guys are tired of listening to us sit here and say it, and I get that. So we'll move on from the fact that Santiago's hitting second. I think more or less, though, the question this offseason, which I'm not trying to say that the season's over, but the question this offseason that I'm going to ultimately have is there a plan at any point here to try to backload this thing while we have Ellie and while we have Hunter Green and while we have insert whatever starter you want, whether it be Abbott or Lodolo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we obviously have Burns and hopefully, Louder will be back at some point. Are we ever going to get a true, legitimate middle of the order bat? And I don't know if that's going to happen. It feels like, Nick, we're going to talk on the back half of, maybe what the decision's going to be made here soon. There's a decision that's going to have to get made here soon when it comes to this lineup and roster. I don't know what they're going to do. My guess is that they're gonna not play Austin Wynns for 3 weeks. He's hitting 450, and then they're going to tell him he can go play for another team. That's my guess. People are going to get pissed off that Austin Wynns is going to get told to go, and he's done nothing but play amazing, and he has. It is kind of crazy, but we'll talk about that on the back half. So, anything else you want to add, just in general about the power imbalance that the Reds have, comparatively speaking, obviously to the Cubs and every other team for that matter? I mean, they've been outslugged in their park for what has been a long time.
Yeah, my last thing is just like why people who would be curious, why are we talking about the offense? It's because legitimately this series, like, it just is what it is. Like, they just got beat. Their bullpen pitched bad. That's the end of it. So I just wish it was just this weekend, and I would be able to just flush it down and say, hey, bad weekend, you move on. Yeah. It's the million other problems that have led to why the Reds are 2 games under 500.
Yeah, I mean, the question is who do you bat second? Well, I don't mind Espinal hitting second against left-handed pitching, if that's what you really want to do. But, I mean, take your pick against right-handed
anyone
pitching.
Other than the guy.
Yeah, I mean, take your pick. I don't really care who you say. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying, like, you quite literally could pick anyone else.
I mean, to be completely honest, like, you probably should, like, if you want to go left, right, left, which I've talked about before, like, I understand and agree with that. Like he probably just put Austin Hayes second. At least give him more at bats.
Yeah.
And then put Steer behind Ellie. And just move guys up or however you want to do it.
I would probably put Ellie at 2, put Hayes at 3, and just shift the order entirely down. And then also Rhys Hines isn't here anymore, but it's like, it's crazy to say, but like, can we not get a DH that has just like a lottery ticket every night? Is this that complicated? It just doesn't seem like it should be that complicated. That's all. I'm not going to get upset about it because it feels like it's a worthless endeavor. I mean, Connor Joe's going to play first base. Like, guys, we're going to look back at this lineup in like 5 to 10 years. And it's just going to be so depressing and laughable. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be laughable how bad this lineup looks on paper in 5 years.
I hope it's just Espinal. I hope that's the only thing that we look.
Well, there'll be more than just Espinal. I mean, Connor Joe. What do you think Connor Joe's going to be doing in 5 years?
Connor Joe was in the lineup today.
Well, I'm just saying
he wasn't in the lineup today.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I'm talking your general knowledge.
I mean, I know you don't want to put Connor Joe in there, but I'm saying Connor Joe is starting to feel like he's going to earn himself the ability to be in the lineup more times than not. More times than not. Like he's not going to be a bench player. He's going to be someone that this team runs out there on not a daily basis, but when I say it, I'm going to say it again. More times than not, he's going to be in the lineup, and that is sad to me.
I want to vehemently disagree with you. I'm not sure. They did face 3 lefties in a row on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So I think he's mostly a platoon player that just got a spot start to, I guess, give Steer a day off, which is kind of funny the way the season and Steer got used all year. But I don't think he is. But I also can't sit here and say it wouldn't be the most shocking thing because there's been some pretty illogical things that have been done this year.
Yeah. All right, folks. 988, it's a resource that we talk about each and every single day on this show. Please, as always, keep it in your top of mind for yourself and or your friends. You never know who might need it. 988, you can text and or call day or night, anonymous hotline. It's okay to not be okay. You can also visit mantherapy.org as well for a lot of good resources that you may need. And I guess on the back half of the rundown, we got some things to get to. People might want to listen to us talk about the game a little bit more. So before we jump into the Reds positive mix, I would just say in general, you're kind of just throwing it directly on the bullpen, and I think that seems fairly obvious. But I would jump into the positives inside of this game. The 2-out hits was nice to see. I mean, the Reds had an opportunity. I don't know if you remember. It was 2-1. Lux comes up with first and third early in the game, and he strikes out. And you kind of felt like, at least I did, Nick, it's like, this is how it goes, man. You get a good hitter up there, and unfortunately, the one time in the game that you might need them to put bat on ball, they might have a great game. They might go 3 for 5, but boy, the one time you needed them, they strike out. And it just seems like tough luck after tough luck. And Trevino finds a way to hit a ball backside, gets a big hit. And then Benson rifles a ball down the line, gets a big hit. And I would just say, you started to feel like you had a baseball team at that point. And that was nice to see. And then Trevino got another big 2-out hit later in the game. Obviously, none of it ended up mattering because the bullpen exploded. But any other positives that you take away from kind of maybe today or the weekend in general?
Oh, any other positives? Oh, I got a list here.
Okay, let's do it.
Ellie De La Cruz was 5 for 13 in the series. Ellie's, he's hitting pretty good against right-handed pitching this year. 817 OPS, 348 on-base percentage against right-handed pitching. So really all of his struggles have been against lefties. I don't think we've discussed that enough. Matt McLain, first 2-hit game for him since May 15th. Only his second 2-hit game since April 20th. On Saturday, he also had his first extra base hit in I think 9 days, they said on the broadcast. So look, good to see from Matt McLain. TJ Friedl kind of been underrated, I think, all year We've talked about him a little bit more lately. Now with a 367 on base percentage, and Will Benson continues to hit the ball hard. 5 balls hit over 100 miles per hour the last 2 days.
Will Benson is seeing the ball great. I mean, he really is. I know he went 0 for 3 the other day too, but unbelievably hard hit balls. Yeah, it just feels like we're a day late and a dollar short, and that's the thing that's hard to. It's just hard to swallow as a Reds fan because you've been starving for so long, and I get it, But you got to hang in there, I guess, as Reds fans right now, and you hope that better times are coming. I don't know. I just don't know sometimes. Can we go back to something real quick that you said? And I think it's actually probably maybe the most important thing that you'd said all show was at the beginning. Do you think that the Reds front office folded? Like, do you think they got scared? Because at some point when you're the front office, you're trying to do things your way, and they've not been proven ever, right? Like, the Reds have not won enough to where they've been proven right. They're going down this path of trying to play, platoons and splits and use analytics to their advantage and try their best to win in the margins, and you go out and you try to find players that complement each other. And they had an opportunity to go and talk to a guy that's had a lot of success in Major League Baseball. He's had a lot of success. But the crazy thing about that success is sometimes it's hard to gather exactly what that success came from, right? Like, and I hate to be that guy, but it's just funny to me that somehow, like, a guy like Joe Torre was a terrible manager. He gets fired, but then magically he goes to New York and he just so happens to manage guys like Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter and the likes of Alex Rodriguez and Jorge Posadas of the world and Bertie Williams, and all of a sudden he's smart. And it feels like the Reds had an opportunity, or the front office had an opportunity, to get this splash of a hire with a manager that has a pedigree, and it almost feels like they sold their soul a little bit. And
how it feels.
And I don't know whether or not that's exactly what happened, but if he truly is calling the shots, I would wonder if he's gonna be able to push and maybe we're wrong here, because he obviously said he vehemently said this was not the case. But for those that are maybe worried about the margins and saying that Terry's doing or Tito's terrible, et cetera, the only, and maybe I have blinders, and trust me, I put blinders on with this franchise from time to time to get through it. The only thing I can think is that maybe he can convince, which is, don't laugh when I say this out loud. Maybe he can convince some people that have never decided to move on some things, to make things happen in an offseason, to get him what he thinks he needs. Because, yes, he was here early enough in the offseason acquisition era, but he didn't really truly know all of his players yet. He was probably just going off of what they were telling him, but based off who he had. I have a hard time believing that Terry Francona thinks that he can win with what he's got. So, at some point, there's going to be a boiler kind of tension moment here, and I'm interested to see how that goes. Is what I'm getting at, because the front office probably believes a certain thing, and Tito believes another thing, or at least believes in something that's not what he's got. There's no way he believes that he's got what he needs. I'm curious to see how that whole thing unfolds. Just we'll see how it goes. I'll leave it at that. Anything you want to add to that before we jump into some Reds MILB?
No, I mean that's kind of what it feels like right now. It feels like they were just so tired of constantly being told that, it's because you don't have a leader, and it's because you guys meddle and you don't let someone just take over. And again, I don't think Terry Francona is a terrible manager. Like, I don't think I think there's a lot of great qualities. Like, you don't accidentally become as beloved across baseball like he is. So there's a reason for that. But the Cleveland Guardians won 92 games last year without him. So I think a lot of his success in Cleveland was the front office of the Cleveland Guardians as much as anything else, and their ability to draft, develop, do all the things much better than the Reds are doing right now.
All right, we got some more things to talk about with Tito, the decision-making process that's going to come from this front office and or Tito. I don't know who at this point, but there's some decisions that are going to need to get made. But before we talk about that, let's jump into Reds MILB.
Do supers first?
I'm happy to do some supers first. Yep. All right. Super chats. Jacob Doyle says, don't worry, everyone. Don't worry. Garrett Hampson is here to help. Yeah, he is.
Have you even seen it? I don't even remember seeing him in the dugout or anything.
No, he's probably working, just training somewhere. Maybe he's in the he's just getting hacks in while the game's going on.
Maybe they're making him do laundry too. It's a dual role.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, don't give Reds fans any ideas, Nick. They'll think that they've cleared the clubhouse managers out there to save some money, and Garrett Hampson's gonna have to start doing the laundry. Sham Schneider says hashtag justice for Darren Roof.
That's the wildest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a kid show. There's a big orange tarp with literally a gorilla on it, right? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, how do you? I mean,
it feels like you're down to your last out in the ninth. You make the out, and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go and throw a challenge out. I can't take it with me.
Right. It's almost like you got two guys. It's almost like you got two guys on in the inning with one out left in the inning, and you're like, you just throw Reese Hines in there to see what you got. Who knows? I don't know. Oh, maybe you don't do that. I don't know. Anyways, Dunny17 says free wins. They're about the free wins. I can tell you right now, Dunny, you better prepare your heart, brother. Prepare your heart. They're about the free wins. He's batting 400. I don't get it. I get it. I do get it. I don't love it. It's just the way it goes. It sucks. It's the way that it goes. There's nothing that kid can do that he didn't do already to earn himself some kind of a chance, but he's not going to get it. So be prepared. Andrew Seiler says, pray for CES. Also, do you think Lyon Richardson would have won this game? Is Francona to blame for this all, or is it all on the front office / ownership? Well, I think we talked about that a lot.
I think everyone pretty well shares this one equally right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Beautiful job by Michael Mortazavi coming in with another super chat right on cue based off of what Andrew said. And he said Rogers has been horrible in every appearance. Now, I don't know about every appearance because I'm not that into the depth charts of or the splits of Trevor Rogers, but I would say he's not been very good. And unfortunately, Trevor Rogers not pitching well at all today has led us down a path of being disgusted of Santiago Espinal being in the 2-hole, the lack of power that the Reds bring, the imbalance of what the Reds front office and or what Tito Francona might believe. So that's where we're at on this show because Trevor Rogers can't get anybody out. It's kind of crazy how these shows go, isn't it? Taylor. Why do I keep saying Trevor Rogers?
It's his brother. He plays in the MLB too.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm going to keep saying Trevor because that's just an accident. Michael Mortazavi. I keep trying to say your last name. I hope I'm not butchering it. But nonetheless, he says Santillan saved Rogers loading bases 4 times. Yeah. That's probably why his ERA is fine too, because he muddies the waters and then other people get him out of it. All right. Jim Lafferty, big super chat. Thank you, Jim. Says the Cubs compete to win a World Series. The Reds are aiming to be competitive in 2025. The difference is $85 million in salary. That's why it sucks to be a Reds fan. We are always chasing a dream without the resources. Yeah. Jim, it's an excellent point. It's a point that we've made on this show thousands of times. It's an uphill battle to be the Cincinnati Reds. It's an uphill battle to be the Pirates. It's an uphill battle to be the Rockies. You can start to name all the teams off. The next CBA is the. I'm not really even going to spend a whole lot of time on what you just said, even though I believe wholeheartedly in what you said, and I think that that's a huge topic of discussion. It's one of the biggest things that's going to happen to this sport here soon. But I don't really want to talk about it because we might have a whole year to talk about it. So I'm going to start to save the ammo for that when we might need it the most. So Andrew Seiler then chimes in and says, Nick and Trace, what are the moves for CES and Fraley once they're ready? I don't know if Nick knew this already, but he'd probably seen these super chats and knew that this was going to be an excellent segue for what we're about to talk about next. Also, do you think Francona is a fraud? Does he have too much control? Well, we already talked about that. I'm not going to go in the fraud word. That's a crazy word to use. But some would say that. I don't know.
I do think he has too much control, though. I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah, so maybe he does have too much control. I don't know. I don't know the situation. I really don't. I do think that the game has passed a little bit. I mean, yeah. I don't know. He's going to try to win his way come hell or high water. That's how it feels, though, Nick. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
His heels are dug into his thought process with this whole thing. When he says Santiago Espinal is one of your better hitters, I gave up. From that sentence on, I've decided to give up. Not on the team, but just to give up on the whole, like, fighting the fight of,
trying to rationalize anything he
correct.
says.
Yes. There's no point in even listening to what he says anymore about his thought process on who does what and where they go. I'm just going to watch. It's kind of like Barry Larkin in the broadcast booth. You just, at some point, you just let it go, You appreciate him being there. He's a hell of a player.
Yep.
So, anyways. Did we answer his question, though? CES and Fraley, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. You can see it on the rundown. But before we do that, we're going to jump into Reds MILB, and then we'll have that discussion. So, Nick, Sunday night, it's a lovely edition of the Reds MILB.
We'll do Reds MILB first, so you can have an update on Fraley and CES before we have that conversation. Jake Fraley in his second rehab game hit an absolute bomb, 427 feet, 109 off the bat. CES's first game at AAA had played a couple games out in Arizona, but was 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. His double hit 104 off the bat. Reese Hines 0 for 2 with the walk. A lot of pitchers, a lot of note in this game. First off, Wade Miley gave up 5 singles in the first inning and then pulled after 29 pitches. Miley now with a 10.67 ERA through 6 minor league starts at multiple levels. Alexis Diaz gave up a single and a double to the first 2 batters he faced, but then wiggled his way out of it with a strikeout and 2 weak groundouts to record his second save with the bats. Zach Maxwell threw a scoreless inning. Maxwell's not allowed in a run over his last 6 appearances, so that might be of note with the Reds maybe needing some reinforcements here soon. Lyon Richardson came in with 2 runners on base and retired the only batter that he faced. Connor Phillips today, an inning and a third. Did give up a couple base runners, including 2 walks, but didn't give up a run. And then Sam Ben-Schuster. Shout out to Sam Ben-Schuster. This guy's pitching incredible. 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 0 walks, 5 strikeouts. Ben-Schuster now with a 2.55 ERA, 30 strikeouts and 8 walks, and 35 and a third. A guy that the Reds could call up to give them multiple innings at some point. I think he will pitch at some point in the big leagues this year. Good day for Chattanooga. They win 7-2 over Rocket City. Lookouts back to 500. They've won 6 of 8, 3 games back in the Southern League North Division. Chase Burns, just incredible. We'll talk about him more in a second. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Burns now with a 2.24 ERA through his first 9 professional starts with 65 strikeouts and 8 walks. And how about this? In the month of May, Burns has 40 strikeouts and 2 walks in 20 innings pitched. Just incredible. Hunter Parks did give up a run over 2 innings, but struck out 3. Edwin Arroyo, 2 for 3. Sal Stewart, 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. And a really good day for Dominic Patelli. He was 3 for 4, stole his 10th base of the year. The Dayton Dragons, they are actually playing Sunday Night Baseball in, I guess it's in Peoria. Is that an actual city? I don't know. They're wherever that is. They're winning 5-3. Shout out to the Dragons. Leo Balcazar has 2 hits, as does Miles Smith. And then last but not least, The Daytona Tortugas, they won as well today, 4-2 over Palm Beach. Tortugas have won 3 straight, now 20-25. Sammy Stafora, 2 for 4 with the stolen bases, 10th of the year. Carlos Sanchez, 2 for 5. And then Cole Schoenwetter, been a real struggle for him, but he pitched well today. 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. And then, Trace, I do have an ACL Reds update. They didn't play today, but they don't play on Sundays normally. But yesterday they won 7-6 over the ACL Dodgers. And why is this important? Because Shang-In Lin hit a walk-off sac fly on Saturday.
Boy.
Let's run through some quick updates out there since I haven't talked about them in a while. Cam Collier is 3 for 13 with a double and a stolen base in his 4 games since starting his rehab assignment, trying to come back. Shang-In Lin made his professional pitching debut on Thursday. 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Arnaldo Lantigua is playing really well. He's got 3 homers, a .952 OPS in 13 games. Obviously, we've talked about a lot about Tyson Lewis. He's playing well. The only one who's really struggled down there, Tristan Smith, yesterday gave up another 2 runs. He's given up 8 hits, 7 walks, and 7 earned runs in his first 4 innings. Reds' 5th-round pick last season.
All right, before we jump into Fraley and CES, do me a favor and like the stream if you haven't already. Very much appreciate that. I know people think that that's whatever. Just it's not a big deal if you hit the like button. It is a big deal. It is a big deal to us. It matters. In my opinion, it matters too much to YouTube. I don't know why YouTube thinks that you should have to have people like your stream. I don't know why YouTube thinks that should be the good, clean indicator of whether or not it should be recommended to others and whether or not it should continue to show up inside of your feed. I don't know. I'm not here to guess why they do the things they do, but I will tell you it matters, and I very much appreciate you hitting the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as well, and hopefully we'll continue to bring content that makes you laugh and or feel better about yourself because you have other people that feel the same way you do. That's pretty much what I got for you. All right, Fraley, CES, they're both obviously on rehab assignments. Going to come back to the club at some point. What do you do with Jake Fraley? I don't know. I guess my opinion is that at this point, based off of who we've already brought up here, whether it be Connor Joe or the Garrett, what's this kid's last name? Hampson?
Who the hell cares?
Hampton? Is it Hampton or Hampson? I don't know.
Hampson, but I don't care. I'm sorry, Garrett. I don't care.
Yeah, it just seems crazy. I don't know. I really don't get it. But again, I'm just trying to put my blinders on and keep it moving. Jake Fraley staying in AAA, if it was up to me, I would have never sent Reese Hines down personally. And I, at this point, kind of in the season, can kind of see with my own eyes where this Reds team's probably going to wind up. And I am right back to 2023 mode personally. I am back to putting guys out there that I want to see play. I want to see how they do in the big leagues. I want to give them extended opportunities and extended at-bats and give them as many at-bats as possible because ultimately there will be a day where we need to know what these guys can and cannot do. There will be a day where this team should be fighting for what I would say not just a playoff contention, but at some point seeding would be cool. I don't want to go too far, but you get my point, where at the bare minimum, if you're the front office, you would like to think, Nick, that your goal coming into the season should be, what you're going to be able to do to set yourself up in the postseason, not just try to contend to make the postseason. Now, that's a far stretch for what we've been used to. I get it. But I still think playing these retreads, playing Connor Joes of the world, playing Garrett Hampsons of the world, continuing to give opportunities to the guys like Jake Fraley, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody here, to be very clear. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And it doesn't help you in the long term, and I would argue it doesn't even help you in the short term. I don't think it helps you in any term. So Fraley stays in AAA, and obviously when CES is ready, I'm looking to see what I have out of him anyways, so even though I'm not totally sold on CES, I'd like to see it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, if we're just talking about strictly just trying to win right now, I'll start there because I agree with you. by the time these guys are done with the rehab assignments, we may be having an entirely different conversation. But let's just pretend, for the sake of argument, the Reds maybe get hot over the next week and a half.
Yep.
They're within maybe 3 games of the wild card, and you're really all in win now mode. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
Sure.
I'm just saying, for the sake of this conversation, let's try to play it out. So first off, with Fraley and CES, they have to perform really, really well at AAA for me to put them on the roster. I think that's the first and foremost. Let's say Jake Fraley plays really, really well. There's only 2 ways that you get him into the lineup, in my opinion. It's certainly not over Will Benson, and it better not be ever Will Benson. I don't know how I'm going to do a show, to be honest with you. At that point, I'm going to be so mad. I mean, you're going to have Toxic Nick. If they demote Will Benson because he has a bad week for Jake Fraley, I don't know how I go on as a Reds fan. I would be just so disgusted at that point. But how do you get Jake Fraley in the lineup? Well, you could do 2 things. First off, you could bench Santiago Espinal. You'd have to play Gavin Lux at third base. Is the defensive downgrade of Gavin Lux at third base worth Jake Fraley's bat? I don't know. That's where it's pretty tough for me. The other thing would be, can someone play first base other than Spencer Steer? I do think Spencer Steer, at this point, you've wrote him out, has probably earned the right to continue to play. Now, I think long-term, Steer is probably best served as a utility player that plays every day against left-handed pitching and plays sparingly against right-handed pitching. But that would be the other option. And then the third option would be you put him on the bench, you replace Garrett Hampson, and you have a left-handed bench bat that, if you start a guy like Will Benson and you want to pinch it for Connor Joe with Connor Joe in the 5th, you then could go back to Jake Fraley in the 9th and not be as handcuffed there. Those are the 3 ways to get Jake Fraley in. CES, if he goes and hits well, I don't give a damn. Put him in the lineup. I don't care who you have to move. Find a way to get him in, because he's actually one of the very few players that could is the key word there, could actually be a solution to the Reds' biggest problem. So CES, if he plays well over the next week, 2 weeks, however long they send him down there, he has to get in this lineup, and you have to find a way to do it.
Yeah, and it's a position that I would argue is a position that you're already seeking help at. And again, I don't want to be overly pessimistic towards any specific player on this team, because I feel like at some point you just sound like you're complaining the whole time and you're just ripping your home, your own family apart. But the one thing that we've done internally as Reds fans is we pick out a small sample size in the season, whether that be a week or 2 weeks or maybe the last 10 games, and you justify why these guys should continue to earn more opportunities at certain positions, or whether or not they're starting to see the ball better, et cetera, et cetera. But when you comparatively put them up against the rest of the league, or who we on a nightly basis are trying to say that we're supposed to be chasing, or who we're trying to compete with, it is so far. It's so far and away discouraging, and not only that, but not even close to being competitive at first base and DH. So CES, I get you, Nick. You'd like to see him play well. I got to tell you, I view him like a lottery ticket too. I don't even need to see it. I really don't. I don't.
He gets 150 at AAA over the next 2 weeks. You're like, screw it. Let's
fine.
Ride.
Hey, listen, Pete
I'll
said
back
it's
you.
Pete said
I'll
it's
back you.
Listen,
I'll back you.
Listen, Pete said it was easier to see in the big leagues than hit in the big leagues. I remember that quote. So maybe
ask
Reese Hines. I'm all about that. I'm just saying at this point in my Reds fandom, based off of what I've seen with my 2 eyes and what I've seen the rest of this league look like and some of the teams that we're chasing, I'm okay with just running CES up here and letting him play. I am. Now you can take that however you want. I'm not trying to say the season's over. I'm not trying to say the season's over. I'm not saying the season's dead. I am going to say, if I have to watch this damn baseball team on a night in, night out basis, and this team isn't going to make the postseason, the last thing that I want to do is watch the likes of Gary Hampson, Hamster Wheel, whatever the hell his name is, Connor Joe, and you can run down the up. I will happily sit and watch Marte strike out. I'll happily sit and watch CES strike out. I'll watch McLean. I'll watch Ellie struggle. I'll watch Will Benson struggle. I'll watch all of these guys struggle because you know what? At least I feel like I'm getting somewhere at the end of the day. I know, maybe I might just know what I have heading into the next offseason. Possibly. You know, the craziest thing about all of this is that in 2023, we said, hey, let's bring these guys up and just see what we got. And then 2023 happened and we were excited. And it's like, okay, now we get to see for real what we got. And the sad truth of this whole thing is, Nick, it's May 25th, and I still have no clue what CES is totally. I don't know what Will Benson is totally. I'm starting to maybe, Matt McClain's, I'm not sure either, but I still believe in Matt McClain. My point in saying all this is injuries be damned. It's the reason we don't know some of these answers, but I'm sure as hell not putting retreads in to stop me from seeing it. And if that happens, just like you said, if Will Benson gets demoted, if Connor Joe's playing first base and CES is hitting is healthy at all and he's in the minor leagues, I'll be on the show to be a moral support, but I'm not going to be checked in much.
I like it. I'll back you. I'll ride with you on that one. That's like when your guy makes a bet that you're like, you know what? I think it's a little crazy, but you know what? Hey, I'm supporting you on it.
Is it that crazy though, Nick, that we're going to say that we don't want to watch Connor Joe play baseball and we'd rather watch CES? I mean, is that crazy?
Logically, you probably should let CES maybe get hot at AAA before you call them up.
I don't even see it.
But in fairness to this organization, the hot players, they leave sit down there. So it doesn't, I don't know, maybe it's not really, it doesn't matter.
Sit down there. We let guys that get hot in the big leagues. We let guys that get hot that play for our team sit the bench, dude. I mean, what are we talking about? We got guys that quite literally are the National League Player of the Week, and they sit the bench, and they don't even hit for 2 innings in a row where they would have been possibly game changers. I digress. Anyways, Chase Burns, he's a major leaguer, Nick. I don't know what else to say about it. He's a major leaguer. Do whatever you want with him. I don't care. I don't know the timetable. I don't know the plan that they have with this whole thing. You know who maybe deserves a little more credit is Derek Johnson. He kind of goes undervalued around here, maybe, possibly. But he's a big leaguer. I don't know how to say it. If I could put my hand up and say, I think, Nick, I've been on this train the whole time. I think I've said that he's been a big leaguer from the very get-go. If you want to throw this could you imagine these poor 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids having to face Chase Burns in single and double A? I mean, it's an unfair fight. It's like watching some heavyweight guy go out there against lightweights. So he legitimately could pitch in this rotation right now, in my opinion. But I get why you wouldn't do it.
I got to take.
All right, here we go.
This, after what I saw today. If you are trying to do everything you can to make the playoffs in 2025, you call Chase Burns up for his next start. And probably you move Nick Martinez to the bullpen, which isn't really fair to Nick Martinez, but that was part of why you signed him. That was part of the appeal. You have Martinez always available and Chase Burns' start for at least 2 or 3 innings in relief. And then you also, your bullpen that started to show some cracks, it just got a lot better because you just added a really good pitcher in Nick Martinez to the mix. Why you don't call up Chase Burns is because, maybe we think we're toast. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to call up Chase Burns because you kind of need to keep Nick Martinez as a starting pitcher for the next month and a week because he's a pretty attractive piece at the trade deadline as a starting pitcher. And he loses quite a bit of value if he's in the bullpen. Same thing with a guy like Brady Singer. So that's my last take here is I hope the Reds either get smoking hot over the next couple weeks, or to be honest, I hope they lose 10 in a row. I hate to say that, but I don't want to be waffling in the middle of, we're 4 games back. Maybe I want to either be right there in the middle, and you make some trades to go for it, not the stupid crazy trades, because you want to talk about giving away prospects. Everyone said, where are these guys going to play? Well, now we don't have enough guys to play. You need to keep these guys coming up. So you can't just blow it up. But I hope that we go one way or the other, because I will say the other way, which sucks. It absolutely sucks to go that way. But there's a lot of good pieces that you could move at the deadline and help fix some of these problems in the future. I mean, you go down the list. I mean, TJ Friedl's a guy that you could be looking at moving at the trade deadline. I mean, you're talking about selling high. You're probably not going to get another chance to sell high on TJ Friedl. Austin Hayes, maybe Gavin Lux, Nick Martinez, Brady Singer. We know how hard it is to find good starting pitching at the deadline. There's a lot of attractive pieces that you could fix this roster long term. So I hope it goes one way or the other. I really do. Please just go one way or the other. That's all I ask.
I think that's more than fair, and I'd also say that TJ Friedl has been incredibly good. And we go on a show like this, and obviously we discuss a lot of different topics, and we talk about who this guy can't hit in the 2-hole. That guy, like, if TJ Friedl had not played as well as he has this year, boy oh boy would it make this whole thing look really, really difficult to try to figure out. I mean, he has been a linchpin in what has been a bad lineup or a bad offense, but boy has he been good. I mean, he has been very good, and how long that's sustainable, I don't think it is, Nick. Obviously, I had already said that I thought TJ wasn't going to play well heading into this season. I thought he was going to be the guy that regressed the most, and boy, was I wrong. And at least I was wrong up until this point. There's a lot of season left. But I don't know. I'm with you. Push comes to shove. I think a lot of Reds fans would tend to probably agree that this team isn't really built right now to put themselves in a position to play any meaningful baseball. I don't want it to sound like, hey, sell the entire outlook on 2025, but I would continue to seek different opportunities that you could possibly bring forth for guys that are hot right now that might have some value. We've talked about Alexis Diaz for 2 years now, about how if there's anyone out there that would even consider taking him and giving us something relevant back, we have been begging for that, Nick. We were asking for that. Clearly, that didn't happen. Now, to be fair to Nick Krall in the front office, I don't know what they ever got for Diaz, but he's currently in AAA. I don't know if we'll ever make it back to the big leagues. I probably will, but you get our point. So, Nick Martinez, hopefully he's super valuable. I had said last season I thought he was somebody that they should have traded away. Nobody took him. I don't know why they didn't, because they would have loved to have him down the stretch last season. Maybe he's earned the luxury now for some front offices to believe in him, because he's done this for multiple seasons in a row. So, all right. We do have some more baseball, believe it or not, and we go and play a team that's got really good leadership. And I'm hopeful that the Reds can find a way to do what you said, Nick. They can either get red hot or not. But we'll be back better than ever tomorrow. We get a lot who, what, when, where, and why. A lot of familiar faces, Nick. A lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Obviously, Jonathan India and Brady Singer will face off against their former teams for the first time. Jonathan India was scratched today with an illness, just setting himself up for the playing through an injury.
Nice. The flu game. It's going to be the flu game in Kauffman Stadium.
Love it. Love it. Obviously, Scott Barlow also making his return to Kansas City. He had the most, people probably don't know this. I don't know. I think it's interesting. He pitched in the most games for the Royals from 2018 to 2023. 108 more than any other Royals pitcher. And then obviously the Reds going up against Michael Lorenzen again on Monday. Nick Martinez. So the start times for the week, Monday 4:10 Martinez against Michael Lorenzen. Tuesday Brady Singer against TBD. Wednesday 7:40 Hunter Green against the lefty Noah Cameron. I don't even know if I want to say it, but the Reds are catching a bit of a break. Cole Reagan and Seth Lugo, all-stars last year, both on the IL. They have a guy, Chris Bubik, who's been absolutely incredible, who pitched today, and then Michael Wacha, who's dominated the Reds, pitched on Saturday. So the Reds are catching the good side of the Royals. Please just find a way to capitalize. Reds did, though. Their last series in Kansas City sweep the Royals, and that was the Ricky Karcher game. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., there's no off the bench, I assume, tomorrow. No one tells me anything around here. But I assume there's no off the bench at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I'm going to premiere at 10 a.m. on Chatterbox Sports on YouTube a replay of Nick Kirby and Trace Fowler reacting to the Ricky Karcher experience with the game kind of in a little box. I edited that up together because I think it's a pretty fun watch, and hopefully that will bring a smile to your face in these dark times for our beloved Cincinnati Reds.
Love it. All right, before we go, obviously it is Memorial Day for those that are listening to this podcast, and tomorrow the Reds obviously play on Memorial Day. It's a day in which, perspective is key, and I know that there are times in life where, it feels like things are very, very important, and they are. But when you compare it to other things and you understand what the meaning is of what Memorial Day is about, you quickly realize that, having to watch guys like Trevor Rogers again, Taylor Rogers go out and blow a game, not seem as big of a deal. So for those that obviously have maybe lost a loved one and or perhaps they know of someone that have lost a loved one, our condolences and Memorial Day is a sombering day for me. I just kind of think through the sacrifices that other people make in their lives and their families' lives, and for me to be able to get on a show like this and have fun and talk about sports and wake up and go outside every day and not even worry about literally anything happening to me because someone else is protecting me. So Memorial Day for those tomorrow, and then obviously for those that listen to the podcast, enjoy the day. Remember, obviously, the ones that gave it all, and we very much appreciate you. So, finally, got a couple here, super chats here real quick to get through, and then we're going to head on our merry way. Ned Flanders says, what is the business case for sending Hines back down? I don't have one, okay? I don't have a business case for that. I'll tell you what I think happened, though. This is my guess. And I don't know if it's as toxic as I think it is in my brain, but this is the toxic trace that comes out. I think that if I was Nick Krall, I'd march down to Tito's office and say, hey, Tito, do you have a plan to play some of these guys that hit home runs or not? Because if you don't, that's fine. The bats would like to use them, and I personally would like to make sure these guys get every day at bats if they're not going to play. That's how I would do it. I'd say if they're going to hit a couple home runs up here in maybe 4-game stretch, they got 2 home runs, yet they can't continue to play at all, or they're not going to get pinch hit opportunities. Do you think that you want these guys or not? Because if you don't want them, I'm going to give them a chance to play every day, so that way maybe later in life they'll be ready to play when you need them again. I don't know. That's my guess. So then Tito was like, no, he's not going to play every day. So then he's like, all right, fine. Here's Garrett Hampson. Have fun with him.
I think you're spot on. That's why I personally kind of liked having a manager that was aligned with the front office.
So we'll see. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. But I don't have a business case for re-signs going back down after he showcased what he's capable of doing. Especially when you factor in who we got out there. That's kind of the point in this whole discussion. I think people get lost in the idea that I love Rece Hines. People get lost in the idea that we love Will Benson. People get lost in No, let me keep going. They get lost in this idea that I'm in love with Matt McLain and I couldn't imagine watching anyone else play second base or anything like that. No, I just know who the backups are. I know what the alternative is. And the alternative isn't even remotely close for me to want to say, oh, yeah, let's go with that option. So I don't know. One day, I'm going to promise you guys this. One day, all of these guys will either be fired, let go, or retired. Or resigned, I guess. I don't want to say fired, resigned, or retired. And we will get the answers out of these questions. We should start to mark them down and we should archive them. So in 5 years, 10 years, we can go to Nick Krall and say, Nick, hey, do you remember when Will Benson and Gavin Lux was sitting on the bench for 2 straight innings? And I'd like to get that answer out of him, see what he says. And that opposite to Tito, perhaps, asking him what he was thinking about this front office, giving him Garrett Hampson. Anyway, Justin Edgel says a blunt for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I think Justin likes to take in the paraphernalia, as some would say. Speaking of paraphernalia, I'm not going to partake in any, but on a night like tonight, it would sure make me go to bed a lot easier. So for those that do such a thing, congratulations. Me, I'm just probably going to go lay in my bed, and my head's going to be on that pillow for the next hour and a half, wondering how I can muster up the courage to watch this game in Kansas City tomorrow. But we're going to do it. We'll be back here better than ever. Until then, like the stream if you haven't already. Appreciate everybody. It's a tough time to be a Reds fan, but this is the time where, you know what, the true fans kind of rise to the top, don't they? You know, the cream always rises to the top, as they say, and we'll see. Maybe we'll be back here better than ever tomorrow, or maybe we'll be talking about another Reds loss. Regardless, we'll be back. You can't say we won't be. We'll be back. We love you. Take care. Hopefully we see you tomorrow. That would be nice. It's not Happy Memorial Day, but what is the term?
I think it's just, I don't know.
Chat, can you give me what the right appropriate term is? It's not Happy Memorial Day. That's not a thing.
No, it's not appropriate to say Happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance.
So what is it?
Here's what you should say.
What's the right way to say it?
It's not a celebration, so you just don't say happy anything. Have a meaningful Memorial Day.
There it is. Okay. I love that.
May we remember.
Respectful. All right, we're going to do them both. Have a respectful and
meaningful
and lovely Memorial Day. Take care, everybody.